Hello, welcome to first part series on how BWC, which would be the Black Widow Company, approaches dynamic combat operations. I'll be going over basic things throughout the series, such as our functionality of the 2D editor, Ares, which we use as a complement to Zeus, as well as Zeus and MCC. This video tutorial is mainly going to be showing off mechanical ability. I will have a theory element as well involved in some of them, showing off how to set up a mission to have your members have the most out of their play, at least for our group, and how we approach it anyways. So to start, we're going to go ahead and go to the 2D editor. Before we just do that though, in here, in play showcases, you'll see that there's one thing called Zeus. It is very helpful and unique for you to go through and play this. During this tutorial, you'll learn just some basic commands. I'll be going over them in here. This definitely gets you used to some basic Zeus stuff, and Biz does a very good job with the showcase here. So we're going to go into the 2D editor. I'm going to go ahead and just open up a basic map. We've already worked on some, but we'll open up Panthera because we have a working one there. You're going to be starting off with a blank map, obviously. So there's nothing on the map. It's completely blank. As you can see, there's no save name up here. Personally, I like the new Arma 3 way of editing. You can switch this over. There's a way to do it, but I think it's by pressing the F keys. Anyways. Yeah, there. So you can change how the editor looks in here if you want to go to the old way that Arma 2 used to look in the 2D editor. So first thing we need to do is obviously we're going to want to get our players together, our groups together. There's a variety of ways we can do this, but we're going to set up just a couple squads here. We're going to do it pretty quickly. So we're going to select what player we want. We're going to use the USA infantry, and we're going to have our first guy as a squad leader. Since we don't have an officer on this list, I would prefer to be using an officer, but right now they don't have one. We're going to have them in formation. You can have none, but I like having a race spawn in formation. We're going to make him playable. We're going to, obviously we don't need to lock that. We're going to change his rank up to Colonel because he's going to be our leader. And we're not going to have him at aim elevation or direction setting. But we're going to call this guy our mission leader. He's going to be our mission leader. Now I'm calling him Z1. This is personally what I use, and you'll see why in a second. And down here we're going to call him the mission curator. As you can see, he's now got a purple box around him. This means that he's playable. If it was red, it would mean that he is player. And then if he was there was no box around him, AI control. So everybody we attach to him is going to be in his group. Again, I'll show why I did this, why I called those Z1, Z2, Z3 in a moment when we go to do modules. As we can see, these all are not grouped together. These are actually in a separate group. So we're going to go ahead and click the group icon, just drag off, and we're going to drag them on to here and link them in, which puts them as part of those groups. We can see that it's not actually showing that description that we put in. So real quickly, we're going to go back on these guys. It's just seeing the name here and not this name here. This is what the players are going to see when they load into the mission. They're going to see a slot called Mission Curator. They won't see this. This is for your usage. Alright, so we have our basic command team set up. We're going to set up just a quick basic fire team as well. You can use default fire teams if you want, just by putting this down. Personally, I don't like using the default fire team setups. It shows you what it is, but I don't like using those. So here's one thing that we do with BWC. Biz doesn't let you change the default squad comp names in the beginning. You can do a set call sign, which I'm not going to go over today. However, it requires the squad leader to be loaded in first, at least the current way I'm using it, which can manually change the call sign in game, but we can actually do that in game if we want to anyways. So he's our squad leader for our 1-1 unit. We're gonna not set up the rest of the squad. This shows up, you would just be setting up your basic squad, and it would go down in the list from there. So, next up we need to do is set up our base, which we're gonna go into the marker mode here, which will be this one. Which gives us respawn_west. This is just, it's something you should have down. You don't need to have it down in missions, but it can solve some issues by having it just down. When you place your, should be going over in a bit, when you place your MCC start location down, it'll overwrite it. So, very last thing we need to do is set up our modules for the 2D editor anyways. For us, that's going to involve a lot of them. Basically, we're going to be dropping a bunch of AGM ones down. I'm going to be just loading up another map in a second to show off exactly what this does. But these ones all have different things in them. For example, our AGM medical system has things about damage, bleeding coefficient. All these settings are going to be dynamic to what you want your mission to be. With us, we have them set up how we want them. We change them up as we feel things are too easy or too hard for our players. If you have the Nimitz, you're going to need to set that up. MCC, you don't actually need to drop down at all, ever. However, these things, setting these up, will give you a nice control when people automatically load in, setting up the settings of cover, Gaia, MCC. We can see in here, these are all the settings we can dynamically set when we join the game. However, if you want to have your mission ready to go, so people won't have to screw around with these, you can set these all up in here by just simply putting them to what you want and pressing OK. You could also set up your main base right away if you wanted to in here, so we could get rid of this respawn_west marker. So the one I've seen probably the most comments on, looking for things on how to do, is setting up the assistant curator spots, assistant Zeus spots. There are a bunch of Zeus add-ons. The only one you actually need, if you want the Zeus to have access to everything, is just Game Master. And in here, all we're going to do is type Z1 for our first Game Master. We see it's all official add-ons disable. So that way you're not forced into the Zeus interface at all times. What this has done is given me 3 Zeus spots. These 3 people, Z1, Z2, and Z3, are all now linked to these Game Master modules. In essence, what's happened is all 3 of these now have access to Zeus when they load into the game. To show what a full built one looks like, We're going to load up my one here. You'll see I have my modules over here laid out, and I have all my players separated in groups. I have them spawn in the water right now because I don't want them spawning on the mainland, and rather than try and clump them up into my little base that I have built here, I'd rather have them in the water so I can see them all nice and easy. Once you've done that, all you have to do is save it, which is fairly easy. You can save it in a multitude of areas. Personally, I only save into user mission, which I will go over here in a second. Alright, in here is our user mission area. This is going to be located in your documents, Arma users, unless you have the path set up differently, but it should be right here. So we were just on WOSU Ops V5, and you can see I already have a PBO pack for it. When you go to do a mission, you're going to need a PBO packer. Inside here, the only thing you're going to have when you load it initially is a mission.sqm. Getting a description.ext and an SQF going is usually very important. The loadouts and equipment box at SQF are side scripts for a box that we use so that people can just walk in and pull a default kit if they don't have one built with Arsenal. The whiteboard manager.sqf and the images are for having images based onto a whiteboard game. But once these are all good to go, all you need to do is pack the file into a PBO. Again, you need a PBO packer to do that. You can find one on Armaholic's site. There's a variety of ways you can grab one. One of the programs I would recommend getting is Notepad++ if you do not have it. In here, this is going to be our mission SQM file. It's a lot of lines, possibly of stuff you really have no idea on. The big thing, the reason I'm showing you this is in a later tutorial down the road. This is the file you'll need to replace when you save your mission as SQM and Zeus. You'll basically just paste over all of this and reload your mission. Once you have done all of this, it's as simple as packing your file into a PBO and uploading it to your server's MP mission folder. So